Nikki Haley didn't have a watch party, so we don't know her reaction, but we have to wonder what will happen to those Haley supporters now that Trump has basically made an almost clean sweep in Super Tuesday, with the exception of Vermont.
Right, exactly. So she did win that one state tonight. She won the District of Columbia primary, and that gives her a couple of delegates to the nominating convention in July, but not enough to clinch the nomination. And so Haley supporters now have a real decision to make in the general election. They have till November to decide, but they will decide whether to vote for Donald Trump, who would clearly be their second choice if they voted for Haley in the first place, switch over to the Democratic ballot and vote for Joe Biden if they really, really don't like Donald Trump, or stay home. So, you know, we just don't know yet how that's going, but there is a real sense, well, it's an almost certainty that Donald Trump will be the Republican nominee for president in 24.
And just in the last few moments, Wendy, as I'm sure you've seen, we're getting notification that Trump has won the California GOP presidential primary. That's according to CNN and also to NBC. So can we draw any other conclusions about the state of the race at this point, other than the fact that it's going to be most likely a Biden-Trump rematch?
Well, no, I mean, not from the results tonight, really, except that we do know that the polling is showing that in critical swing states, this is what our Bloomberg News Morning Consult poll shows, Trump is leading in all of the states that will be decisive in the election. The states that Biden is winning in are the truly Democratic states, California, you know, Vermont, Massachusetts, places like that. But in the states where the election is truly decided, right now, Trump is polling ahead. That could mean nothing in November. It could be that once people really focus on the election, I mean, right now, the election isn't until November. Most people are sort of, you know, going about their lives. But at some point, they will turn their focus to the election and then really consider, you know, whether they want another 4 years of Donald Trump or another 4 years of Joe Biden. And that's what we'll be seeing.
So in terms of what's next, Wendy, what happens now campaign-wise? We obviously know that Donald Trump still has legal issues to contend with, although we did get one big decision this week, but more will be coming down the pike. What's next for him and what's next for Joe Biden, who's embroiled in this war, two wars, basically?
Right. Well, he is, but Biden's big moment comes later this week. In Thursday night, he will give his State of the Union address, which is an annual address to Congress. It's always televised. It's a big primetime event. But in this case, in an election year, the incumbent president, if he or she is running again, will be laying out their vision for not only the rest of this year, but in Biden's case this year, a second term. So that speech will really be seen and is being seen by the White House as the kickoff to the general election campaign against Donald Trump. So we'll hear what policy aims Biden has for 2024 and maybe even his second term. And for Donald Trump, it's, you know, a lot of the criminal trials. He faces 4 criminal trials. Some of them are being delayed. There is one that will start later in March. But he really doesn't have to do a lot of campaigning, retail politics, we call it, where he goes to, you know, fairs and things like that and talks to people. He doesn't really have to do that. The next huge events, besides a possible conviction for Donald Trump, would be the conventions that later this summer where they will be formally nominated.